Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101 NFL Football Sunday. We'll call it a halftime third quarter. So we just got into the third quarter. We're going to break down today's game. The Browns are up 17-7 right now in the third quarter, with 12:55 left to go in the third quarter. And it's probably a little bit. And we're going to go over that. We'll break down all of today's games. We'll do my picks of the week. But first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 NFL Football Sunday Trivia question. This 1984 team finished 9-7 in the season. Some of their players were Doug Cosby, Tony Dorsett, Gary Hodgeboom, Danny White, and Ron Springs. Which NFL team was this? I'll have the answer later in the podcast. Well, it's week 3 of the NFL. This is a very important week of NFL football because the Browns are trying to go to attempt to go 2-1 for the first time since 2011. The Browns are taking on the Washington football team at First Energy Stadium right now, and they are up 17-7 in the third quarter, as I said, with 12:55 left to go. And the third quarter has probably gone down from that now. The Browns are coming off a big 35-30 win over the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 2 on Thursday Night Football, which put the Browns at 1-1. The Browns had a much better performance in Week 2, and it was the performance Kevin Stefanski was looking for from this Browns offense in Week 2. Mayfield looked good. He threw 2 touchdown passes. The Browns offense really stepped it up, and their running game was good, as well as their passing game as well. Now the Browns offense, and now the Browns defense hasn't been anything to write home about. Excuse me, but they should be able to keep a Washington team with a few big-time weapons on offense in check, as long as they aren't undermined by turnovers and poor kick coverage. This was the way Washington beat you. Excuse me, is the way they stormed back against the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 1. They rely on their pass rush to disrupt and force turnovers and give their offense a short field. Now, not helping Washington's offense is one thing to watch in Week 3, and really putting pressure on Washington's defense as well, and their quarterback, Chase Young, and really keeping Washington on their toes and keeping Chase Young on the ground. So if they can do that, if they really keep Washington from scoring and get the job done, they can go to 2-1. We're going to go over all today's games, but right now I'm going to go back to we're going to recap the one from Thursday night, which I took the Dolphins and lost. My brother-in-law, I thought took the Dolphins. I took the Jacksonville Jaguars, and lost. My brother-in-law did not take the Jaguars, as I had said Thursday night, but he took the Dolphins and he won, so he's 1-0 and I'm 0-1. But the Miami Dolphins beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-13, and it was a magical night for the Miami Dolphins and Ryan Fitzpatrick. First quarter, Miami had the ball at their own 16-yard line. Ryan Fitzpatrick passed short and middle to Preston Williams for the 3-yard touchdown, and the extra point was good, and it was 7-0 Dolphins. The Jaguars had a 24-yard pass at the Jacksonville 49, 1st and 10 at Jacksonville 25. And Jaguars had a 4-yard run at Miami 47 for 4 yards, had an incomplete pass, and Logan Cook punched the ball yards into the 45 yards, into the end zone for a touchback. And then Miami scored and then they had to punt. And then Miami scored their second TD of the game, thanks to Jordan Howard's 1-yard TD up the middle. The extra point was good. And the Dolphins were up 14 to nothing, in the first quarter, because they were up 7-0 in the 7-0 because that was their second TD. The Jaguars had scored their first TD of the game. James Robinson up the middle for an 11-yard touchdown. The extra point was good, and it was 14-7 Dolphins at the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, the Dolphins went up 21-7. Ryan Fitzpatrick pass short right to Mike Gesicki for the 15 yards into the end zone for the TD. An extra point was good, and then the Dolphins led by 14. The Jaguars had a turnover on downs. Gardner Minshew II was sacked at the Miami 46 for 10 yards, and it was 21-7 Dolphins at the break. Third quarter, Jaguars fumbled the ball. Minshew was sacked at the Jacksonville 34 for 12 yards, and it was a holding call on the Jaguars, and they got a 15-yard penalty for that. I mean, a 10-yard penalty for that, excuse me. And then it was back to Miami. The Dolphins scored their final touchdown of the game in the third quarter. Ryan Fitzpatrick ran up the middle for the 1-yard score. The extra point was good and it was 28-7 Dolphins. Third quarter. Jacksonville had another turnover on downs. Minshew passed short middle to James Robinson to Miami to the Miami. Actually, that first one was a 15-yard penalty. To the short to James Robinson to the Miami 23 for 10 yards, and Brandon Jones and I think it was Jordan Baker or Justin Baker, excuse me, and there was a holding on. There was I think it was unnecessary another holding on the ground, and that was for 10 yards. It was a 10-yard penalty, and it was 28-7. But at the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, the Jaguars scored their final touchdown of the game. James Robinson up the middle for the 1-yard TD, but the extra point was no good. It went wide left. It was 28-13 Dolphins. The Jaguars had a third turnover on downs. Minshew sacked at the Jacksonville 20 for 6 yards, and it was an unnecessary roughing holding, and it was a 5-yard penalty on that one, and it was Adam Van Ginkel that got the call for that one. The Dolphins got to the Jacksonville 4th and 3rd. It was 4th and 3rd at the Jacksonville 13, and had to settle for a field goal. They couldn't get into the end zone, and Jason Sanders' 30-yard field goal was good at the Jacksonville 31, and it was 31-13 Dolphins. Jacksonville had an interception. Gardner Minshew passed deep left intended for Chris Connolly, intercepted by Xavier Howard. Xavier at the Miami 2. Howard pushed out of bounds at Miami 3 for 1 yard, and they made a few plays and then kneeled for that. And all they had to do was run out the clock, and the Dolphins beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-13. And the game balls went to Ryan Fitzpatrick. 18 of 20 yards, 7 carries, 38 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 160 yards total. Mike Gaskin, 22 yards, carries 66 yards, excuse me, on the offensive side of the ball. The receiving end, 5 receptions, 29 yards, and Devontae Parker, 5 receptions, 69 yards. That's one of them, of the picks that's the one I lost on for Thursday night. My brother-in-law won. We're going to get to the other games and picks in just a moment, but first, it's time now to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 NFL Football Sunday trivia question. This 1984 team finished 9-7 in the season. Some of their players were Doug Cosby, Tony Dorsett, Gary Hodgeboom, Danny White, and Ron Springs. Which NFC team was this? And if you said the Dallas Cowboys, you are correct. The Dallas Cowboys finished 2 games behind the Washington Redskins in 1984, and who are now the Washington football team. And the 49ers, who went 15-1, went on to win the Super Bowl against the Dolphins. I'll have another trivia question on my next podcast on my Monday Night Football game pregame show tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Now, getting back to today's games, the 49ers are taking on the New York Giants right now at MetLife Stadium in New York. And I've taken the 49ers for that one. So is my brother-in-law, Eric Hoyle. He has taken that one. And I've taken the Browns. The Browns are playing Washington at First Energy Stadium, as you know. I've taken the Browns, and so is my brother-in-law. And the Cincinnati Bengals are squaring off with the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. And in Philadelphia, we both have taken the Eagles, my brother-in-law and I. And so that was one we agreed on. The Las Vegas Raiders are taking on the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium, and that Patriots are beating them right now, 13-3 right now in the third. And we have both taken the Patriots for that one, both my brother-in-law and I. So the Atlanta Falcons are taking on the Chicago Bears at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. I have taken Atlanta, and so has my brother-in-law. We both have taken that. The LA Rams are taking on the Buffalo Bills at Ralph Wilson Stadium in Buffalo. And my brother and I have both taken the Rams for that one. But they are down 21-3 right now to the Bills. And it was at halftime. It's probably in the third quarter now. And we'll see what happens in that one. The Houston Texans are taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers right now at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. And my brother-in-law and I have both taken the Steelers for that one. We have both taken the Steelers. We've both taken the Steelers for that one because we just feel Pittsburgh's tough at home. The Tennessee Titans are taking on the Minnesota Vikings right now at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've taken the Minnesota Vikings only because they're playing in Minnesota. My brother-in-law is taking the Titans. That's two. The second one that we didn't agree on, besides the Thursday night one. The Carolina Panthers are going to be are taking on the LA Chargers at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, near Los Angeles. And I have taken the Chargers. So both have taken the Chargers. My brother-in-law and I. And the New York Jets are taking on the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. And my brother-in-law and I have both taken the Colts. That's another one we agreed on. The Seattle Seahawks will take on the Dallas Cowboys at Century Link Field in Seattle. And I've taken the Seahawks, and so has my brother-in-law has taken the Seahawks as well. And that's another one we agree on. The Detroit Lions will take on the Arizona Cardinals at University of Phoenix Stadium in Phoenix, Arizona. And we both have taken Arizona for that one. And we both agree on that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take on the Denver Broncos at Sports Authority Field in Denver. And that's a late game as well. We both have taken Tampa Bay. We both agree on that one. And tonight's Sunday night game, the Green Bay Packers will take on the New Orleans Saints at Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans. My brother and I have both taken New Orleans for that one. We both agree on. And tomorrow, the Monday night game, the matchup, AFC matchup, everybody's talking about, the Chiefs and Ravens. And I have taken the Baltimore Ravens only because they're playing in Baltimore. And my brother-in-law is taking the Kansas City Chiefs to beat them on the road. Those are the three we don't agree. We had three we don't agree on this week, so we'll see what happens. And and right now the Browns are up 17-7. Maybe they've scored again. I'll have to check. But I'll have a recap of all the early games once the early games have concluded. And so that's going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 third quarter show. And I'll be back with the early games post-game show once they have all concluded. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day, and every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1, I'm done.